Hello and welcome to this week's Glasstire Top 5. It is the week of November 21st, 2019. My name is Brandon Zech.
I'm Christina Rees.
And we're going to count down the top 5 shows for you this week in Texas. It's a little bit, I feel like we're saying this more and more frequently now, but it's a little bit of a weird list.
Do you think so?
I think so, but
Number 5 on our list this week is called Monuments of the Future. It's a discussion and salon that takes place at the MAC in Dallas tonight, Thursday. It is organized by Teatro Dallas, but it's held at the MAC, and Giovanni Valderas curated this evening. It's 3 artists. Monuments of the Future is proposals from area artists to envision alternative monuments in Dallas public spaces in need of racial and cultural healing. One of the reasons we're picking this is because one of the artists who will present is our very own Christopher Blay, who is driving to Dallas to do this. And the other artists are Annalise Minares and Angela Faz. And at the end of this, the audience members can advance one of the projects for a print publication. So it sounds like an interesting discussion. I'm sure the proposals will be fascinating, and you can check that out tonight.
And the publication is apparently going to be some form of mail art project. And anytime we can throw in some form of mail art, I'm a fan of. Number 4 this week is a show opening at 1226, which is a new space in Dallas in the Design District. This is a show of works by Ry Rocklin called Food Group on the Table. So Ry Rocklin is a Los Angeles-based artist, and these works are prints. They're 3D prints of his friends in food costumes. So of course they're going to be displayed on the table, and it's funny. It's a little bit of a one-liner, but at the same time, they look like photographs of his friends, and that's because that's kind of what they are, but they're 3D print little sculptures. I know you and I are both fans of art that can be funny, and just kind of, even if it's a one-liner, if that one line is good, you gotta write it.
Yeah, let's do it. Number 3 on our list this week is at the Blanton Museum of Art in Austin. It is called Artisan Fronteras, Prints from the Self-Help Graphic Studio. I saw this a couple of weeks ago along with Neil in Austin, and it's a really nice show. We also just ran a review of it this week, but the Self-Help Graphic Studio was established in the 70s as a kind of printmaking community center and space, but it started an experimental atelier program for visiting artists to come in and do limited edition screen prints. These works were all given to the Blanton recently by Dr. Gilberto Cardenas, who was a professor at UT Austin and is a major collector. And he also had set up an outfit in Austin to help disseminate these prints over the years. So it's decades worth of prints by Latinx and Chicano artists who are doing wonderful imagery, religion, border issues, identity. It's a really nice, rich collection, and it's up through January 12th. You've got a little bit of time to see it, but I highly recommend it.
Number 2 this week is a show on view at Rising Tide Projects in Galveston. It's a show of works by the now Houston-based artist, formerly Austin-based artist Bucky Miller. The show is called Phylogeny Light. Rising Tide Project, we've talked about it before. It's a little bit of a publishing initiative. It's a little bit of an exhibition space. And it's a kind of new initiative that's just been gradually chugging along and churning out some really good shows and publications. Bucky Miller has kind of capitalized on this store-like element of Rising Tide Projects and has small prints. He kind of plastered the walls with some news-printed photographs. He's a photographer. He also has a new book that he did with Rising Tide Projects. The show's kind of all about his desire and, of course, impossible desire to photograph every animal. Bucky's a big fan of animals and dogs, and there are very rarely people in his photographs, but a lot of times there are weird situations and parts of animals, not whole animals, parts of animals. So this is just, it's another show that has a kind of really subtle humor. Bucky's photographs are great, and there's going to be a closing for this show actually the weekend after Thanksgiving on November 30th during Galveston's Art Walk that weekend.
Number 1 on our list is in Tyler, Texas at the Tyler Museum of Art. This show was organized by its curator, Caleb Bell, who's a young guy who's been doing some great shows in Tyler. It is Joseph Glasgow. It's called Bold Lines, works by Joseph Glasgow. This is an artist who, he's passed away, but he was of note in New York the 50s through the 70s. He moved kind of from figuration into abstraction, which was a pretty common route.
From the 50s and the 70s?
Yeah, exactly. This isn't necessarily a retrospective, but what's interesting about this and what we love about this is that he grew up in Tyler, Texas. He ended up being a New York artist, but he grew up in Tyler. He did some work in Dallas. I think he went to UT Austin, and he did eventually retire to Galveston. I think he lived kind of in seclusion in Galveston. He made sculptures there. I'm so pleased that Caleb put this together. I think it's a great way to kind of do like a homecoming show for Glasgow, but images look good, and I think it's going to be a real mix of the work over the decades.